Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and a very warm welcome to you all. Welcome back to the Red and Blue Review for season 21-22. Do you know, before I finish that intro, my heart was actually going, I'm reading all the messages in the chat and they're all genuinely pleased that we're back on. Our Sunday evenings are back, said one of the guys in the chat. I am your host, Nick Philpott, and for this season, we will bring you a new and improved service. Look at the graphics on the screen, ladies and gentlemen. Our world has changed. Joining me throughout this season will be the usual Rogues Gallery, as you can see before you. I'll introduce you shortly. Plus, hopefully, we'll be bringing you some new faces to join the team. But before we get to any of that, don't forget to ask your smart speaker to play the latest Red and Blue Review podcast. You can also find us on YouTube and all your major podcast providers. Gentlemen, good evening and welcome back. I've got to start in one place before I do the rest of you. Lord Holyoke is back on the panel. How are you, mate? You've been missed.
Yeah, cheers. Well, it's going to be different now, isn't it? It's just going to be different. So happy to be back. Happy to be part of the gang again after that fiasco it was a fiasco of last season and the season before. But yeah, it's good to see that, that everyone's still together, all of us lot behind the scenes.
Of course we are.
So yeah, good to be back.
Thank you, mate. And listen, I'm not going to tell the audience exactly how you described the elderly statesman that's just left us as a manager, okay? But Jill did say to us, folks, behind the scenes, until that gentleman left the scene, that's not what he said, I'm telling you now. But until that gentleman has left the scene, he doesn't want to be part of what we do because he was getting so frustrated. Well, we have gone from the sublime to the ridiculous, which we'll come on to with players a little bit later. Ian Lyons, welcome back, mate, and thank you for producing this evening. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I just realised I should have made myself producer Ian for tonight.
Yeah.
So now I've got all this power. I can change everyone's name. So anyone got any suggestions for these three, just let me know. And obviously the highest bid wins. But yeah, no, all good. It's been particularly busy off season for me work-wise, but I do this for the love of it, and we all do it for the love of the red and blue, don't we? So this is good. It's a good way to unwind.
And it's
he's been really busy and he hasn't earned fortunes.
Right, Gel's the first one.
Right, yeah, change his name. It begins with a C and ends with K, okay? And also welcoming back to the panel, Nigel Croucher. Nigel, first of all, before we start, thank you for everything you do behind the scenes. Ladies and gentlemen, if you had any idea how much work he does behind the scenes, him and Tom Clark Samuel, thank you to you both. Without you, there is no show. How are you, mate? How's the family?
Yeah, doing well. So I say I've had a week down with the family in Norfolk. So nice to get away for a bit, but come back for the start of a new season.
Come back for that new season. And how excited are we about this new season? I'll tell you what, I have never gone into a new season with the hope and I don't know. I think there's trepidation in there as well because we don't know how it's going to work. Okay, we don't know what style he's going to play. We don't know how the new players are going to gel and everything else. But I've never had the excitement. Okay, as I have going into this season. Before we continue, and I'll tell everybody what's coming up in the show. There are already 70 of you mad people out there. Luke, hello, mate. Mark Wills, good evening. Andrew Adams, Matty Cannon, Graham Daniels, Steve Tween, Linda Drew. I can see every one of you. Thank you for your lovely words. Hello, Mickey Philpott in Switzerland. Tony Quinn, I can see it. Thank you. Look, Andrew Adams says, new graphics, same rogues. I think he's probably about right. No argument there. Right, coming up in tonight's show, a little bit about our new platform, as you can see. Grant's boat trip. We're going to be talking in detail about the players that have gone and the players that have replaced them, hopefully. Lots and lots of stuff to talk about coming up. So, this company that we're using, a completely new system, completely different from the one that we've had before, but with some similarities. Hopefully you can see already. Ian, look at the top left-hand corner of your screen, everybody, or top right-hand corner as I'm looking. Logos, graphics coming up, pictures of players. We can play videos into this. This takes our show, our little show that we give up our Sunday evenings for free of charge. Shut up a minute. free of charge. Okay, we this takes us to a different level. And don't forget, we are the only podcast you can watch live. Okay, none of the others do a live show. They all do boring podcasts. No, sorry, that's not true. They do a great podcast. They all do pre-recorded stuff. Okay, but we are live. We give up our Sunday evenings right the way through the season for you lot. God, am I over the top? Shell Holyoke, go.
No. I was just going to say, it even recognises when you don't put your real name up there. But no, it seems to have gone back to jail now. But no, just as you said, it bodes for an exciting season. And in all honesty, it's what we've been screaming for. But anyway, let's get on.
Let's get on with it. Okay, so as you say, you can see with our new system, we can actually interact. It doesn't just folks going through the season. Okay, it doesn't have to be just the 4 old geezers you can see now. If you're feeling brave, if you want to come on during the season and have a little chat with us, just a couple of minutes to say hello, tell us what you think of yesterday's game, how good was Zaha, how bad was Guays. I don't care what it is, as long as there's the one caveat. If we ever bring anybody on, the one caveat is no swearing, okay? We have youngsters watching this and we want to keep it polite, respectful. This is for family viewing, okay? I don't care if Vieira turns into be a massive great, whatever you want to call him, but don't do it on air, please, okay? You will be welcome to come on air. We've already got a young fella that's a part of our team already, and he doesn't even know yet. Daniel Garlick is one of the regular. Oh, he's actually out there now. Daniel, good evening, mate. I know you're out there. I can see you're out there. He will be coming on at some point during the season. He'll be coming on quite regularly. If anybody else fancies coming on and say hello, come and tell Jody what you really think of him. I tell him on a daily basis, but it'll be good to get some backup from you lot, okay? Right, so before we get into the discussion about players in and out, okay, Jill, gone. Have I upset him already?
Yeah, clearly. He'll be back, I've no doubt.
This weekend, as you're all aware, is our first away game at Stamford Bridge. And we are delighted, or Grant Saunders is delighted to be now running again one of his infamous boat trips up and down the Thames, okay? It is 18 quid. That's all it is, 18 quid. That gets you your free drink on board the boat. The boat departs from Festival Pier at 9:15 on Saturday morning, okay? We're meeting at 8:30 because right next to the Festival Pier is a little cafe that we use every year called the Giraffe Cafe. And in there we can have a full breakfast and everything else before you get on board. And then up and down the Thames for a few hours, having a good old sing-song, a real laugh. You never know, Claire's Bucket might make another appearance. None of you boys went last year, so you won't know what Claire's Bucket is. Claire's Bucket is very important to the cruise. Claire, if you're out there, tell them in the chat what Claire's Bucket really means. Okay, it's really important. It's a massive bucket, and I'm glad to say everybody on board filled that bucket last year, and I was very proud of each and every one of you. Okay, there is no double entendre there. That is for charity purposes only. Okay, so if you fancy getting involved, pop over onto the Eagles Have Landed Facebook page. Tell Grant you want to. I think he's got something. There was 130 spaces. I think he's got 6 left or something stupid. I know I gave him a couple more this afternoon. But if you fancy coming and join us, the only downside to the day is I am hosting it. Okay, you'll have my dulcet tones on the old microphone, and I'm sorry about that. I'm hosting it, but come aboard. It is, if you've never done it, okay. And the weather forecast is good, by the way. It's sunshine and cloud on Saturday is what the forecast is. It's a laugh. It's a real good fun. It's all done because we want to get back together as a red and blue family. And it couldn't be a better game to kick it off with, if I'm honest with you. Chris Gunn is telling me that there's 6 left. Thank you, Chris. I hope you and the family are well, buddy. So that's this Saturday. It's 8:30 at the Giraffe Cafe, 9:15 for boarding, and then we sail at 9:30. Come along. Jill, I know you've done it before. Good day out. Jill?
Oh, Jill.
Oh, Jill. Go indoors, Jill, because I want to hear your opinion this evening. I've got lots to talk to you about. So if you can hear me, Jill, get your backside inside the house. Okay, right. Okay. So we're going to kick off the show this evening, and we're going to be talking about, boys, in detail. I've got loads of questions for you. Your thoughts on the players that have gone. Okay, then we're going to touch on the players that have joined us and what we still need. We're going to be talking about the new management team, as I said, a little bit later. I think he's got a much bigger management team than Hodgson ever had. Okay, from what I can see, there's only there is Nigel. I need your help here. Who's the fella that's been at the club for donkey's years? The coach. Okay, he's been at the club for donkey's years, and he's just left us to go to Australia.
Steve.
Can anybody tell me in the chat? Can anybody tell me in the chat? We are the Ultras. Yeah, I can see your message in the chat. Steve Guyot. Is it Guyot?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay. Well, that guy has given the club many, many years service in and out of loads of different. I think he said in a recent interview with the club that he'd done something like 10 managers. Okay, and he'd been there through thick and thin.
Scott Guyot.
Scott Guyot. Thank you. Thank you, Paul, in the chat. Tom, I can see that. Max, I can see that. Thanks, mate. And yeah. On behalf of the Red and Blue family, not just the Red and Blue Review family, we wish him well because he's been a stalwart of the club for many, many years. And
he's been fantastic. I'm disappointed he's gone, actually.
And lots of love to his family because, I mean, he's going, that's the reason what he's going for. He's obviously going out to Australia for a complete new life. And I think it's good.
Dean Kiley gone?
Yeah, he's an Aussie.
Oh, Dean Kiley. Is he gone? Goalkeeper coach.
No, Dean Kiley's in there.
I haven't seen him in any of the videos. You raise a good point, Nigel. I haven't seen him. Joe, that's much better, mate. What we were talking about, just finish off for me, if you would, mate, on Grant's boat. You did it a couple of years ago. What do you think of it?
Oh, it's always an amazing day out. Yeah, you just meet up in the morning, have a big breakfast, get on the boat, get pissed, go football, go on.
The perfect Saturday. The perfect Saturday. What else do you want? Okay. And get on there. If you haven't done it before, come and join us. Let's have a laugh. It'd be great to see you. And if you do join us, or if you are booked to come on there, okay. Obviously, I know you all got in the chat. I recognise everybody's name in the chat, but of course, I don't know you visually, so I don't know you facially. Please come up and see me and can say, "Hello, Nick. I'm so and so from Red and Blue Review." I'll shake. Maybe I won't shake your hand. Maybe I'll give you a fist pump or something like that. Okay, but I'll be the idiot with the microphone. Okay, so you know who I am.
He won't buy you a drink.
Sorry, my hearing's gone. My headphones are packed up. Okay. Right, players that have left the club, guys. Okay, and Joe, I'm coming to you in a minute. Okay, but I want to talk about Wayne Hennessy, Stephen Henderson, Van Arnholt, Sacco, Cahill in detail, Dan, Woods, McCarthy, Townsend, and Wickham. Boys, I know it's on the slide. What is their overall? Again, I can't read that from here, Ian. Can one of you tell me what the overall salary figure was for those players?
Well, I can because I've got it right in front of me. For the average weekly salary for those players on the left that have gone, the ones that you've just announced, is around £636,000 a week.
Bloody hell. 600 a week. That is, and £100,000 of that was on Sacco. Joe, let's kick off with the two goalkeepers. Henderson, I don't think will be a major loss. He was always a bit part player. But your thoughts on the release of Wayne Hennessy, please, mate?
Well, to be honest with you, the hate that he's shown within a huge section of the club, it's not a surprise that maybe he's just wanted to go as well. I mean, he was never really he wasn't a Hodgson type player. So it's no surprise to me. I feel he's been harshly done by. I don't think he ever really let us down. All goalkeepers make mistakes, but like I say, he seemed to get targeted by a fair amount of hate. It is what it is. You move on, and it could turn out to be a very good acquisition for Burnley. But yeah, it is what it is.
Nick, you're on mute.
You're quite right. I was on mute. I'm so sorry. Ian, I want to talk to you about PVA. But before I do, I think the one thing that's quite sad about all this is that we didn't get a chance, especially in the likes of Townsend, McCarthy, Cahill, a chance as a fan base to say goodbye to them properly. I'd like to give them, like we did with Wilf all those years ago, I'd like to have the opportunity to give them a proper send-off. It's a bit sad, really. They're an integral part of the team over the last couple of years. Ian, PVA, your thoughts on the PVA being released or not renewed?
I'm not sad to see him go. I've got to say, there aren't many on that list that I am sad to see go. Cahill and Townsend are probably the only two. Meyer, Jell and I particularly on this show extolled his virtues, but it clearly wasn't to be. And as you can see from that, we've saved ourselves 125 grand a week by letting him go. It was a mistake. It was an expensive mistake, but nonetheless, when he came in, we were all excited. It was the manager that killed him. And the same could be said for the likes of Townsend as well, is that Hodgson pretty much killed him in the fact that he wasn't allowed to roam forward. PVA in particular, though, I don't think was always okay going forward, but let's be honest, he wasn't the best defender, was he? And that's 55 grand we've saved a week.
Indeed. And on the thoughts of Sacco, Jill, I want to know your thoughts on this. Nigel, I am coming to you in a second. Your thoughts on Sacco going?
Well, I want to talk about PVA.
Oh, go for it. Feel free.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I thought we was all going to have a say on, on all the players.
Open season.
There's a certain irony that I've said for ages. How do you turn a player shit and put him in a Palace shirt? Well, the Euros, right? He's a left midfielder for his national side. So he doesn't really have to come back. They know he's crap at the back. But what do? We put him at the back where he was crap. I can't ever say that he had an amazing game, even a good game, in all the time that he was with us. He always looks amazing at a game, but not amazing, but he always looked very good going forward. But he was more of a his dynamic was just attack. He was never one to sort of set up loads of goals, but he always seemed, when he scored, he just seemed to be in the right place at the right time. So, going forward, fantastic. Go on to the question that you originally said. Sacco, I'm mixed with Sacco. I really wanted him to come to the club. He came, and then he sort of turned up once every 3 weeks. Is it every 3 weeks or every 10 days? You know what I mean? It's a real shame. He did the same at Liverpool. They must be joyous to get whatever we paid, 27 million quid for him. And game for game, money, the money to appearance ratio, he's probably pulled our pants down.
Of course, yes.
But you can't say. See, the thing with Sacco, he almost gave you a heart attack at the back. I'm not going to say he was too good for us. I thought his brain was too good for us, even if his footwork wasn't. But yeah, when he was doing back heels and stuff like that, step over stuff, trying to defend.
Gave me a heart attack.
Yeah, but the thing is, whenever we've got this is the Palace fan. This is the Palace fan in all of us. Right? You get the ball, a £50 million forward comes to close you down, and what do you say? Hoof it. And then when they continue to hoof it, he's hoofing it all the time. So when he does the little flick, and he's close to getting shut down, but it works, and you're like, Jesus Christ.
Exactly. And you turn around and everyone around you is going, oh my God.
Exactly.
He's done a Cruyff turn on the penalty spot.
You can't, yeah. So I'm sort of mixed with Sacco. I loved him as a player. I imagine he's a really nice guy because everything that I see with him, his social media, he's always helping people out. I know he does loads of stuff in Africa. He's got his own charities in Africa and Senegal and stuff like that. And he is a good guy. Family orientated, everything. He doesn't come across as one of those selfish players, He's but yeah, I'm not saying I'm sad to see him go purely because of the money side of it, the amount of time that he played for us. So, but from that perspective, he had to go. But from a playing perspective, when he did play for us, I really liked it. There's, like Ian said, there's only a few there. I can see 4 that I would have liked to have seen, but obviously on much, much less wages.
Well, coming on to the wages in a minute. Nigel, I'd like your views on the PVA and Sacco thing.
PVA, I agree with what's already been said. You saw him at the Euros. Sort of, they played him. Sort of, the Netherlands played him further up the pitch than what we were, and he was just a completely different player. And I say that's just down to Hodgson not realising he wasn't a defender, because he just never tracked back quick enough. How many times did we see him just off the halfway line last season as the ball was hitting the back of the net?
But what was that game that he did that thing where the ball went over his shoulder? He tried to do a reverse kick up with the air. He completely missed it. Player went through on goal and scored. Anybody out there can remember what the game that was? That's typical. That was typical PVA, wasn't it?
Yeah. As for Sacco, so he came to the club. I think it was fans' pressure, sort of made Parish dip into his pocket and buy him. But I say he just never got a run.
Okay. Yeah. Shall we move on to a couple of the others? We won't worry about Woodsy, the goal. But what about Cahill and Dan? We're going to do both those centre backs now. Before I ask you all, and I want you all to eulogise on what your thoughts are, but my own personal view was we've got, and we're going to come on to the new players shortly, the two younger guys who've got coming in as centre back. Okay, I honestly believe that there was a role there for Cahill to be, I don't know, a mentor, somebody that could actually bring these guys through. I don't want to touch on the new black ones yet, but there are particular things about the new guys that are really strong that we haven't had before, and we'll do that later on. But Cahill, I think, is the guy. Dan, I'm not worried about too much because of his age. Because the age thing was a big issue. Again, I'm sorry that we didn't get a chance to say thank you to him. But Cahill, I really feel that as if not a playing role, maybe even a sort of coaching role. Ian, you first on Cahill and Dan, please, mate.
Well, again, I'd like to have seen Dan go. We got good service out of him, and it was such a shame when he got himself injured and when he injured De Bruyne at the same time, a couple of games before the end of the season, because he was just on the cusp of the England squad at that point, wasn't he? He'd scored 6 goals in that season and was playing out of his skin. And since then, he was never really the same. Cahill, different animal completely. He's the one. If you look at the really big or marquee signings that we've signed, the last 3 ones being Benteke at 27. When we got him, he was a marquee signing. Now he's more of a fold-up tent, isn't he? Then you've got Sacco, obviously. And as Joel says, when he played, he gave you those moments that you remembered from the game. Not necessarily all good, but he's obviously quality, but just injury prone. But Cahill was just a different animal. I can't believe Chelsea let him go when they did, even though he was 33 at the time. Okay, he'd had a couple of injuries, but he was still at the top of his game. And as soon as he came in, he was just what we needed at that time, and helped us out a great deal by
massively.
Certainly the likes of Mitchell and Wan-Bissaka. Was he there with Wan-Bissaka? Probably just
just after, I think.
No, I think.
And but nevertheless, he was still a leader, wasn't he? And I would love for him to have stayed on with a view to maybe moving into the coaching department. But fair play to him. He clearly thinks he's still got a couple of years left in him. I'm not going to doubt that for a second. But I'm also quite pleased that the club are learning not to throw money at situations, which we have done previously with the likes of Benteke and Sacco, paying them. And to be fair to Max Meyer as well. And they're saying, well, this is what we think you're worth. It's on a pay-as-you-play basis. You'll get bonuses amounting to what you're after on a pay-as-you-play basis. But that's where we're going. We're not going to back down from that. So I think it's testament to the club, and probably testament to the direction that we're now going in, that we're not quite so reliant. And I don't think we'll miss him quite as much as we initially thought we would, because of certainly because of the 2 centre-back signings that we've made since then. So, I wish him luck, and I'd like to see him back at the club in some sort of capacity, in the background.
I was getting some very, very interesting information, and accurate information from one of our most trusted sources that he announced on the Monday, I believe it was, that he was leaving the club, and we were told that we had initially offered him a contract. This is Cahill. We'd offered him a very decent contract, but on much reduced rates, much like some of the others as well. He flatly turned it down and went off and started waiting for the phone to ring from other clubs. Well, from what I got told, other clubs didn't start calling. So he then came back to us on the Thursday and was talking to us on the Thursday and Friday, by which point we'd moved on to Anderson that we're going to come on to later on. And then he made his announcement that he was leaving the club. So, yeah, Sarah, Nigel, your thoughts on Cahill and Dan, mate?
Cahill, he was a general. And he was the sort of player that would put his arm around the youngsters, sort of give them the encouragement they needed. I thought he would stop and sort of go into the management side, sort of towards, like another season. As for Dan, he'd lost the Premiership pace. I think he'll be well suited in the Championship. And they'll probably get another couple of seasons out and down there.
Joe, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think really to add to what Ian and Nigel said, the only thing I will say about Benteke is I just, as much as he sort of seemed to be getting it together at the end of last season, I still would have let him go. I just think we would, he's only open to a certain style of play, and we'll see, because I don't think Will playing up front now. He's gonna take
Interesting thought on the Benteke thing, Joe. Nice. While Joe's talking, have you got that slide for? Oh, actually, I've got it. The new salaries. Do we have the Benteke new salary?
No, there's nothing on the web.
Yeah.
So
Joe, and answer your point, 6.5 million he was earning last year, and obviously we know he signed a new contract extension, and it was a bit. I mean, I don't know why we're doing Benteke because we're not talking about the players that stayed in, but Benteke must be on a much reduced contract. Don't you think, Joe?
Well, as we sort of discussed them between us for ages and ages. Yeah, I know some is and Benteke will score goals this season. He didn't just give them the penalties that will get to score goals on it. But the thing is, if we're going that seriously into having youngsters at the back, youngsters in the middle, just youngsters up front, I'm just of the opinion that that he may have had his day.
He's only 30, mate.
He's a one-trick pony, mate. He's
well, we'll come on to.
No. I'm just saying. But you want me to have my say about Benteke? He's great in the air. He holds the ball up, but I don't think that's the kind of football we're playing now. But from all intents and purposes, everything I've heard and seen little snippets of stuff is that we are one touching, and instead of going backwards and then sideways and backwards and sideways, we're now going forwards and turning and forwards and turning. Maybe that'd be good for him. I really don't know. But for me, I was, I thought Mateta was going to be the future for us. Left foot, right foot, faster than Benteke, and with Ayew as a backup to another striker. So
somebody just Joe, what you're saying. Stephen Doyle just said that in the chat. He said, "What do you guys think about Mateta?" I actually think Benteke.
He won't score 15 goals. I'll take any bet with anybody, right? Any bet. I'm telling you now, if Benteke scores 15 goals this season, right, we'll be in Europe. We will qualify for Europa. If he scores 15 goals, he honestly, I don't think he's got 15 goals unless we get 10 penalties. For me, we've got the like I said, he's a decent acquisition to the squad, but we've been in £100,000 a week players that that we thought were over the hill or not good enough. But I don't know. Let's see. He could prove it. I want him to prove me wrong. That's what
let's
I
finish.
want him to do.
Let's just finish up on
But
the.
he's had 4 years. He's had 4 years trying to prove me wrong.
I actually think there's going to be a completely different scenario. This is my
Well,
personal
like
views.
I said, let's hope he really does. I really hope he does and shuts me up, because it's nothing better than playing well and silencing critics. But you know, he's had 4 years at you know, whatever, 30 odd million quid's worth of wages, and it gets an extension. I just can't see him for 2/3 of the money, 50% of the money, going out and busting his balls, unless that Hodgson was the real problem for our team for certain people in our team for the last 2 or 3 years. If he's been freed from his shackles of, you know, being a part-time player or being told not to do this, not to do that, play defensive, which is, I don't know. But like I say, I would have preferred 23-year-old from the Championship having been given a go.
Right. Okay. We're gonna paper over Woodson and McCarthy. McCarthy going to his boyhood club Celtic. I'm not worried about that too much. He was a good squad player, but I think that's about as far as it went. You know, and quite hard in the tackle and in your face. But I don't think it'd be a great miss. The two that I do want, Joe, I'm purposely coming to you first on this because I'm just about to chuck you under the bus. Okay. The last two, Mr. TalkSport himself, Andros Townsend. Okay. Yeah, whatever. Okay. And of course, the most important one in your world. Okay. I know you told me you've been crying over this one, Connor Wickham.
See, for me, you know, when Connor Wickham did play, he's a very good player for us. I think a lot of his problems were probably mental, to be honest with you. The one player that I'm really gutted to see, you know, go is Andros Townsend. I don't think he ever lets us down. I can't remember him having, you know, the thing is, the more you make yourself an attacking player, the more you're going to lose the ball. It's as simple as that. He's given us some of our best, you know, his attitude was always good. His attitude, his aptitude. And that, for me, they're pivotal moments on being a fan. I'll go back to Speroni, is that I think the sole reason why we're in the Premier League. That save from Ashley Barnes on that night at Brighton was £1 billion save. And I think that Andros Townsend would have put him at the other end of the scales, probably scored the best goal. But apart from, in fact, no, he didn't. He scored both of my favourite goals in the last 5 years. He scored that screamer against City. And do you remember when we lost 4-3 to Liverpool? And we had the ball, we were messing about at the back, and they were hunting us down. He managed to get it, and Macca passed the ball out to the left. PVA eventually fed it to Wilf. Wilf skinned their right back, and then he pulled it back, and Townsend scored that scream. For me, absolutely amazing. And this is the other thing as well. Everyone's going, oh, he was off the pace, he was this, he was that. The season before, he was our player of the season. He had an amazing season, and then all of a sudden, he's not good enough to even get in the first team. You know, I don't know. Like I said, I can go on about Hodgson. As much as everyone loved Punching, I absolutely hated him, and it was one of the best things and one of the best stories that I heard had coming at the club when he was relieved of his captain. You know, he was relieved of the captain's armband, and he went up to Hodgson apparently and asked him why, and he said, "I don't pay the 21, get out," and that was it. So I have a feeling that might have been, you know, I think that Andros has probably fallen out with Hodgson, and I think he's just too old and too stick in the mud to be able to suffer any bullshit from any players. And I think once he made up his mind about you were pretty much gone. So, but you know, it's I can see what Paul Alden's saying about Wickham as well. You know, when he was fit, he's very good, but do you want a 60 grand a week Bambi on the, you know, around the club? I mean, he was forever injured.
I'll throw the other argument to that, Jill. Okay, don't forget, had that goal gone in and stood at Wembley, sorry, the goal did go in, but stood at Wembley, there'd now be a statue for Connor Wickham outside Selhurst Park.
Yeah, like I said, you know, everyone has a different view on it, but for me, yeah, I would have preferred Andros to stay, but you know, even if he was just going to become a bit part player, nice effort with that on the mobile phone, by the way, whoever that is. And but yeah, like I say, everyone can see a different a view on football about the same player when we all sit there and watch the same games, and that's what makes it so interesting. So, but yeah, for me, Townsend is a minus leaving the club. But you know, if you want your first team football all the time, he's got to go elsewhere.
Thank you, Ian. Townsend, second highest assist in the club last season. Big loss to the club, do you think?
I don't think it's a big loss. I think he was on his way. He was waning anyway. There's obviously clearly divided comment. If you've seen the comments coming up over the last 2 minutes, some people were, supporting him. Some people are saying, well, he was on his way out. Whatever happens, I wish him well. And I thought it was a really good tweet that he sent out to the club and to the fans. I thought that says so much about him. And again, he's yet another player that leaves us without any ill feeling or anything like that. And that was the beauty about Townsend. He was one of the few players that were honest about, gave an honest assessment of his own performances. So no, not a loss for me. It would have been two seasons or 3 seasons ago, but not now. Not when you look at the talent. Again, like yourselves have commented on, I'm excited. It's probably the first transfer window that I've actually been excited, not by the quantity but the quality of talent we are now getting and looking up. So I think for us, this is now a turning point. Hopefully, a turning point. If it's turning downwards or turning upwards, it's definitely a turning point, isn't it? We've put up with some turgid football, however effective it is. Hodgson did his brief, followed his brief, kept us up. And for once, the board seemed to be backing the new manager. So everyone seems to be pulling in the right direction. So rather than look backwards, I'm now looking forwards.
We will do in 2 seconds, okay? Nigel, quick round up on those last two, Wickham and Townsend, please.
Connor Wickham, well, I knew of him from his time up here in the northeast, and Sunderland fans, sort of had the same feelings that we did about his fitness. He only seemed to turn up for them just for the last 4 or 5 matches of the season to help them either stop up or, just creep into the playoffs or something. Townsend, he wasn't the player he was 3 years ago. I think it was the season before last. He came back pre-season and said, I'm fitter now than when I was at the end of the previous season. And he's just never been the same player since then. Fair enough, he got his assists last year, but he wasn't the 100% player he was. He's got his eye on a job in the media.
Of course. He's got that contract with TalkSport now, hasn't he?
Yeah. So, we'll still see plenty of him, but just not in the red and blue shirt.
Okay, I think we'll draw a line under the players out there. I mean, if my figures that are in front of me are accurate, everybody, Meyer, Dan, Wickham, Van Aanholt, Townsend, Hennessy, Sacco and Henderson were earning a combined total of 26,340,000, okay? Now, because this is what we were crying out for last season, don't forget, we need to strip some of that finances down. It allows us to do something completely different. And boy, are we in the middle of building something completely different. Before we come on to the players in, lads, I was noting a couple of comments in the chat, okay? I want your views, please, on the captaincy. Interesting yesterday that Zaha wore the armband, okay? Is Zaha captain material? Is he the right person? Where is Milivojevic? Why was he not captain? He hasn't been featuring in any of the or only one of the pre-season games. Is it time to change captaincy? And on top of that, who's our penalty taker? Bear in mind, Luca may not be around very much, and Zaha, well, he's by example, you say, leading from the front as a penalty taker. Who wants to go first? Anyone?
Right. Wilf. He was captain for the first 3 games last season, and it absolutely raised his game. I don't know whether it was the responsibility or what, and he did play better when he was captain. I missed the first half of yesterday's match, but what I saw of him in the second half yesterday, he seemed just that little bit more sensible head. As for Luca, I don't even know if he's going to get a regular start at the moment. We've got that much quality in the midfield now. I don't think he's going to start this season very often.
Chill.
God,
You've also got
start?
Macca and Wood. You've got Macca and Ward. Don't forget as options as well.
So I've said for ages, I thought Will would probably be. He gets marked out of the game when he's out wide. He shines when he's in the middle. I think sort of been. I said to you, Nick, I said I really thought that if he stayed at the club, I thought he'd stay for life, and if he stays with us, he stays as a centre forward. I think he'll just get the crap kicked out of him playing out wide, and centre backs, he'll just win loads and loads of free kicks. So I think that's the future for Wilf, and I think Wilf stays with us. I think he sees his career out of us.
I've got to say, I'm wondering if it's a smart move by Vieira making Wilf captain, certainly for yesterday's game, and giving him that added responsibility, Joe. And I think that probably
Deeney weren't there to kick him up in the air, was he? So
well, he was for about 15 minutes, but yeah. I think the rest of as Deeney would attest to, the whole of the Watford team take it in turns anyway.
Yeah,
but I see. You what?
No, I just think it would be. I'm not really worried who's captain, to be honest with you. It was said by Paddy McCarthy and Julian Speroni's testimonial that I think we had five ex-captains on the pitch at the same time in one game. The captain thing is something that used to be held in esteem. I don't think it's a massive thing anymore to be captain of the club. You know what I mean? You have a bad game, I just take you off. Don't know whether you're captain or not. You just give captain's armband to someone. What's all that about? It's very much a symbolic thing just to put around your arm. You're the club's captain. For me, it doesn't mean anything. I'm glad Macca's not left. I'm so happy that he's still at our club, because for me, he spent the large part of last season injured, and I think this will see him instead, as it did for Glenn Murray when he had almost that whole season out and came back the next year, and he just looked refreshed and so. But yeah, for me, I'm pleased about that, but not particularly worried.
Right, folks, at the chat, ladies and gentlemen, out in Facebook land, I can see your lovely comments you're saying about the show and what you're saying about us individually. Marilyn, I can see what you've just said. Brilliant show. Keep it up, guys. We have every intentions. We ain't going anywhere. Okay, we really appreciate your lovely comments, and I'm reading every single one of them as they go through, folks. Obviously, I'm going to try and get to some of them as we go through the show, but thank you very much for the love that you're showing on the chat. It means, and we're actually broadcasting to different places simultaneously tonight, not just on Facebook. We're broadcasting live on YouTube, and I know some of you are watching out there on YouTube. We are there, as you can. We are totally live. Okay, boys, I think we'll draw a line there under the players out. Let's talk about some of the players in. Now, the hardest thing for me, okay, is the first name on the list. Okay, I'm going to take a stab at Guehi, Anderson, Aloisi, Klein, obviously re-signed, Matthews as a keeper, Montez, Gallagher, and Nascimento. Okay, now, you guys probably don't know anything about Nascimento, okay? He's only a youngster. He's only a kid, 16 years old. And I'm telling you now, I know for a fact that he was well sought after by some big clubs. This guy is going to have a huge future. You won't see him anywhere near the first team, I don't think. You'll certainly see him feature for the under 23s, under 21s. Okay, we've only paid up to £500,000 on him. Okay, but he is a centre forward who is probably the most exciting prospect. Bear in mind, we've had the best transfer window ever. Okay, this guy here, Nascimento, won't mean anything to any of you. We've signed him from Peterborough, and I know that Man United were chasing him, Liverpool was stalking him, and a couple of other, I think it was Arsenal, perhaps Arsenal. 16 years old, remember the name, Nascimento, okay? He is one for our future. Probably after the bunch of old fogies in front of you, dead and buried, okay? But he is one, remember you heard it here first. Nick Philpott said, remember the name, Nascimento. Right, we're going to kick off with Guehi. Now, Guehi, who could tell me anything? Nigel, I'm going to come to you first. Talk to me about Guehi, what you think of Guehi and what we have in that player.
Well, I'll say yes yesterday. And I'll just find the his stats were absolutely fantastic. I don't know if you've got them in. You can stick that slide up.
You got them there, Lee?
I haven't got them on the slide, so sorry, mate. But yeah,
right.
I think he only missed 2 passes out of about 90, didn't he?
Yeah. I think it was 84 out of 86 or something like that. It was, never have I seen a Palace player sort of do that sort of thing. And sort of for what I saw of the match yesterday, he's the future. I think he's going to have a regular starting place.
And for me, I think he's ideal to play, to give us that flexibility moving forward, to play a back three. Jill and I have extolled as to, for years about, we've got the players, we had 3 decent centre backs who could play a back three, under Hodgson, but it would never have happened. And I think we're seeing, if you saw yesterday's game, that Vieira's want in the system is, one, Riedeveld. I think is going to suit Riedeveld down to the ground. I think he's going to be released and we're going to see the Riedeveld that we should have been seeing. I think Mitchell is going to be released further up the pitch and Ward on the other side. And then what you've got is if one of the fullback goes, the 3 then, or the other fullback comes in and makes a back 3. And with Guehi, he's so comfortable on the ball. I do think at 21 that he's still got a ricket in him. He'll still let the ball under his foot every now and again. It'll end up in a goal. But I think if we can look past those individual mistakes, which he'll iron out over time, I think we got someone that can actually, with him and Anderson and another, be it Tompkins or whoever, I think we've got the makings of a squad that can flex and play different systems, which isn't as rigid and regimental as it has been in the past, which I think, again, suits so many of our players, certainly going forward.
Listen, you just raised a great point. Okay, Joe, I'm coming to you on that point now. Okay, because thanks for that, Ian. Because what you've done is you've actually preempted you've actually followed on from what Vieira was talking about very recently, that we're going to have the facility to be able to switch from a 3 to a 5, okay, straight away. That's what these 2 new centre-backs are going to give us, okay? And I'm coming to you on this now, Jill. But my question to you first is Mitchell going to be able to fill in as part of that 3 at the back, or Ward, whoever he's playing? Your thoughts, please, on switching from a 3 to a 5. My only regret, Jill, is that he has just bigged you up. He's just said to you, he's been calling for a 3 at the back for years. And, oh, God, now you could be proved right. Go for it, mate.
God, everyone would hate that, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
I wouldn't. When you say 3 to a 5, 4 or 5 at the back, I wouldn't have played 5 at the back. Played 4-4-2 or played 4 and a sweeper. I think that for me, because we've got Conor Gallagher. Gallagher is more of a pick up, turn and go, the same as Eze is in exactly the same way. So for me, I would be inclined to play a 3, whether or not Mitchell is part of that. I mean, I think he's got the pace for it. I think we're going to play the ball on the floor a lot more this year. So I'd like to see him as part of the 3. But Ward definitely wouldn't. I wouldn't be worried if it went the other way and they used 2 centre backs. One of them's got to be left-footed, obviously, and then Ward out on the right, or vice versa, 2 right centre backs with a left-footed left back playing on the left side of that 3. But I'd like Riedewald just to screen those without a doubt. That would make us a sort of a 3-1-3 through the midfield. And like I said, I think what we'll do, it does seem to be. I tell you what I do want as well. We haven't come to him yet as well, but I think we could do really, really well with a 4-4-2 with Scott Banks, because I said to you last year, didn't I? That we bring the best winger down from Scotland, and if he really is crap, then he shouldn't be down. He shouldn't be with us, and he wasn't. And now we've seen what he can do from a dead ball situation. But yeah, it bodes well. We do now seem to have a fair few really decent options at the back. We have a fair few options, in a lot of options through the middle, even though we don't really even know what players we've got until next week. Have we actually named, just a very quick answer, Nigel, have we actually named our 25-man squad yet?
No,
when does that have to be in by?
The day after the window closes.
23 days.
Okay. Right, okay. So
we'll only name 20.
So we really don't. I mean, it doesn't matter anyway, because I think we've got a fair few players under the age of 21. They've done
exactly.
I think it's under the 21s. Yeah, and like I said, it's what I've all been screaming. Well, I've been screaming for 5 years now. But anyway, I'm really excited. The only thing, like I say, I would have liked to have added to was a sort of a proven championship scorer to move into our squad.
We're coming on to that.
On.
That could still come.
But what I'm saying is that I personally think that's the only thing missing from what we've done now.
And I quite agree with that. Nigel, I'm coming to you right now. Jill, we're coming back to that subject very, very shortly.
I've got 2 quotes from the first interviews on Palace TV.
Go on.
So they were sort of saying why what's Patrick Van Aanholt told you they want the way they want to fit in. Anderson said Arnold wants to play it from the back.
Do you mean Vieira?
Vieira. I'm looking at PB. Yeah, Vieira's saying sort of he wants to play it from the back. And Conor Gallagher, his quote was, they want to play 2 box-to-box midfielders. Which I think we've only ever played 1, haven't we?
Well, but that then would mean if we're going to play 3 at the back and have Riedewald screen in the defence, as literally, because he's not a box-to-box midfielder, is he? You know what I mean? Of all the people, he's just a chiller.
I think he's going to do. Gallagher's going to be a box-to-box midfielder, isn't he?
Gallagher is.
Yeah.
But we've got that many players now. I was just flicking through who we've got at the moment.
We have
trying to work out who we might play next weekend. And I can't still quite work out a starting 11 off the squad.
Well, Gallagher can't play, can he?
No, Gallagher can't play.
So straight away, that solves one of our problems.
Yeah.
We read about Luca next Saturday, but that's
or Macca.
Possibly. And Jill, you're right to mention Kleiny. I'm glad they're giving him a 1-year extension. I think that's good. That's probably a move I would think to cover the Ferguson injury still, and I think that will be his final year with us this year. But again, I'm quite pleased. He's red and blue all the way through. Old Kleiny, he loves it, and he played. I think he's featured in every single game during pre-season. Right, the next one I want to talk to you about is our future captain. Okay, now I've been listening to. Sorry, boys, but I've been listening to a couple of the other podcasts who were pronouncing his name Joachim Anderson. Okay, Joachim Anderson. I'll give you on good authority. His name is Joachim Anderson. Yeah, and he is a centre back that we signed. He's 25 years old. Okay, whereas Guihi's only 21. And I've been talking to a couple of Fulham fans, Fulham season ticket holders, okay, who said to us, said to me that this guy is certainly your future captain. This guy is so talented. He can spray 60-yard balls in every direction at a drop of a hat. He is absolutely one for the future, and we could end up having I'm coming to you first, mate. Could end up having one of the best centre back pairings in the league. My dodgy heart's going again. Sorry, I'll have to calm down. Jill.
It's all right being out of hit 60-yard balls. Damien Delaney used to hit 60-yard diagonal balls all the time.
Yeah,
But they all used to go out and play where we were too crap to be out of control there. So I'm open to anyone who's a baller, you know, that can spray the ball. And I said, I just, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to this year. I'm looking for the Vieira thing. We haven't touched on this either. We really need to touch the Vieira thing, because I know privately when I've talked to, especially, you know, you two guys, I haven't talked to Nigel over the pre-season about Vieira. But what I mean, so I was at, you know, with my family and other footballing supporters of other clubs, and they're like proper ripping the piss out of me. Like, Vieira, he didn't do anything at Nice, and this, that, and the other. I mean, he's, you know, I'm hoping that he lasts longer than the other Dutchman did in charge of us. But yeah, I mean, it's a if he's got us playing in a style of football that is just anything remotely better than we've had for the last 3 years, I'll say this here and now: if he is building for the future and we can keep hold of these players and not end up pissing our pants like when Man United came in for our you know, for our right back,
Saka.
Yeah, and just go, well, it's £50 million. We've just taken whatever it is, 25, 30 million quid away from our. I appreciate everyone saying, oh, we've saved all this money, but obviously we're investing in the younger players, and they're only going to be on, I would have thought, anything between sort of 20 and 35,000 a week, which is a massive improvement. But you know, I am very excited for this now. I've got my head around Vieira. I've talked to a few people, and again to the to the ex-Fulham player who we've now got, Anderson. My nephew's a Fulham season ticket holder, and he just said to me, he's an unbelievable player. So, but we've heard that, you know, I know it sounds we've heard it before, you know, Max Meyer was supposed to be the nuts, and the young kid that we had from Spain was supposed to be the nuts, and, you know, Johnny Esther was the best 17-year-old that was going to be coming through, and you know, we've had the promising players, and, you know, when Wilf was the best thing that ever happened to us, and Man United came in and stole us off him, you know what I mean? I'm hoping that we can keep this team together, because, like I've said, you know, it's either going to go one or two ways. I don't think we're either going to really push forward with this team, or we're going to shit ourselves and it's going to be really bad. But I seem to think it's going to be the other way. You're on mute, Nick. Nick, you're on mute. You're on mute.
You're quite right. I'm going to move on. We're going to move on to the backroom staff in a second, but before I do, I think the most important subject of the night, okay, is not the fact that we're bringing players in to replace the players that have gone out. And I know it's only been briefly mentioned so far tonight, is the fact that we're bringing them in on decent salaries, okay, but more importantly on 5-year contracts. Fantastic. You know, we've been critical of the club on lots of things and over expenditure that we've already discussed already tonight. But I think the club need to take absolute pride, okay, of how they've gone about their business. Not only have they gone about their business, but, you know, getting Benteke tied down early, okay, and some of these other signings in so much, you know, so early in the window. Teresa just said it in the chat. Other clubs are absolutely in awe of our transfer window, and I, as a Palace fan, a very long-standing Palace fan, I'm so proud. Go on, mate.
West Ham, I've got a couple of West Ham mates, and they are absolutely fuming that we've signed the centre-back from Chelsea. They're fuming about it. I mean, I know that they think that whoever we look at, they should be able to afford and buy. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think they've overextended the Ian Summers boys. But I mean, I do think that we've done some very good business
I
would have loved to have seen Conor Gallagher. I'm not a massive fan of players that are loanees, but seeing as though Drury and Gallagher are best pals, roomies, everything, we've discussed this already.
Yeah.
Privately, that we can, and again, I said to you, Gallagher is just been a player that I thought we should have been in with, or in for before. I think we might need to, if he does well for us this season, and it does look like he might be you're saying that though, because Chelsea, what happens is every player is for sale, and all you need is for him. It doesn't matter about being a Chelsea player. He can just go, I play for Chelsea, and he can sit there and take 25 to 40,000 quid a week off him, right? But deep down, he will want to play football. He will want to play first team football. And sometimes the money to some people isn't. If you're good enough, the money will eventually come to you. You will eventually get that move. But I think he will want to play a lot of first team football. Also, no, I just need to put one more bit. Sorry, Nick. I just want to. You said that the board and Steve Parish need to take a lot of credit for it. Well, they do need to take a lot of credit for it. But let's be honest, when we've got rid of 4 or 5 players over 30, a couple of absolute injury prone players. They were going to go anyway. We couldn't sustain paying them that money if we were losing £1.5 million a week. We couldn't sustain that. They had our club have been literally forced. They've had their hands forced to get rid of these players. It's as simple as that. So what they've done now is they've had their hand forced by having to get rid of the players. But what they've had to do now is look properly. Instead of just going, oh yeah, we'll look at a video, we'll do this and we'll do that, like we have done in the past, with that Jimmy what's his face, Harris said every time he ever played against us, he played fantastic down the left-hand side. When he played for us, he was absolutely crap.
Jimmy Kirby.
Was it Jimmy Kirby? Yeah. And I'm just like, we seem to have had our hands forced into looking properly. So kudos, is due to them, but they've been forced into this for the first time in like 3 years, because all these players have come through. We've had this settled older squad, and what we've done is we've literally gone through the last 3 years. And they've gone, oh, Palace have got the 5th oldest squad in the Premier League. Palace have got the 3rd oldest squad in the Premier League. Palace have got the 2nd oldest squad. Now, you know what I mean? Palace playing a lot of pensioners. They're the oldest squad in the league by blah blah blah. So they've had their hand forced, and it's for the better. But it's not something that our academy hasn't become fruitful yet.
We've gone from the oldest down to an average age of the current squad. That's without any future signings.
25,
26. Okay, 26.
That's good.
26 years old. Right. Okay. Ian, I want you to do a very quick overview on young Aloisi and Conor Gallagher before we finish off in this segment. Okay. But ladies and gentlemen, in Facebook land, I've got a job for you now. Okay. I was the biggest critic of Judas Friedman. Okay. Dougie Friedman. Off he went. He trotted off for the dollar. He went up north for the dollar. Okay. Have you forgiven Dougie Friedman in Facebook land? Very simple. Yes or no. He's had a fantastic transfer window, but is that enough to give your love back to Dougie from what he did at Bolton? Okay, yes or no in the chat. Right, Ian, Aloisi, a bit of a strange one because they bought him knowing he's going to be out for at least 12 weeks with this shoulder injury, and also Conor Gallagher. Just touch base on both of those before we wrap up on this segment.
Right, Conor Gallagher. Every time I've seen him play against us, I've never been convinced, but I'm willing. I know a lot of people rate him, so it'd be interesting to see how he plays in a club that's not relegation fodder. Aloisi looks quality, and the fact that no one else came in and bought him, and we just picked him up for the pittance we did, whether he was injured or not. I think too many times clubs are looking for the perfect player, even if they're going to try and stuff them in their reserves. And we're quite happy and confident in our medical staff to say this is an injury he can get over with, get over, and therefore you've bought him a bargain because he only had like a year left, didn't he, on his contract or whatever. So they needed the money. We gave him we got a good deal. And, you know, as the boys have said, fans from other clubs are screwing the fact that we got him for that. You know, the likes of Liverpool and everyone else, that everyone's keeping tabs on these players, but no one's actually going in for them because they're always trying to buy the perfect player. And what we're doing is we're actually seeing that, and we're buying up and coming talent. Ferguson's a case in point, you know, in the fact that we bought someone who West Brom actually played knowing he was injured, and that's causing extra problems. I like to think they all come good at some stage, but you know, you'll get the odd one that doesn't work. And for the money that we pay for them at the minute, you can afford for one or two to get to go sour.
All on 5-year, again on 5-year deals. Can I just, before I pass you over, I just want to let you know what people's thoughts are in the chat. Brad says no. Graham Daniel says, I'll let you know in 6 months, Nick. No, the question was yes or no. Not Mr. Axel says, tough one. Sean said, this is a tough one. Andy Stacey said maybe. No, Andy, it was yes or no. It wasn't maybe. Okay. Get off. You take the sprinters out your arse. Get off the fence. Yes or no? John Gatson says, got a lot of love for Dougie. Colin Squire said yes. Steve Brimble says no. Chris Phillips said no. Steve Freeman said no. Paul Holden said not yet. And so lots of varying thoughts. Oh, there's a question. I've really opened up a can of worms in the chat here, boys. So it's simply yes or no. That's all I need to know. Has Judas Freeman been exonerated for what he did? Okay, or has this transfer window?
Why are you still calling him Judas? I know you don't like him.
That's not true. Okay, I am still anti what he did, and I know life goes on and Nick move on. We've had a bleeding pandemic since. I know all that. I get all that. But
so when you worked for Furniture Village, if DFS had come along and went, Nick, look, what we do, we give you an office. You'll be able. We'll put carpet down instead of that hard flooring. You can have an hour instead of 45 minutes. We've got a much newer shop. We sell better furniture. We've got a young, keen set aside that all do everything for you. You won't have to do anything. Turn up, better job, more money, nicer, better area.
Sexy
and what you'll be able to do, you'll earn more money. You'll have a better car. Your kids will go to decent private schools. Everything. Imagine that. What are you going to do? Go, right.
I'm going to jump shit.
Well, that's what he did. That's what he did.
I know, I'm joking.
But the fact is, he's come back. He's not saying that the error of his ways. He's come back. We've realised that he was a fit for the club. He found players that he's had credit for in the past, and now he looks to have found other players again. So, it's. But for me, he does all right. This is the other thing about it. We all know Parish doesn't suffer fools gladly, and I don't think that being given a second chance and being in the position he's been in for the last few years, because it has been years since he's been back, that what he's done is bad work, or what he's been trying to do is bad work, because I think he would have been gone. No matter what, I think Parish would have binned him. He said, if he wants you gone, if you're not doing your job properly, you're gone. It's as simple as that. Prove that over and over. So, for me, I think Dougie's a fit for our club. I think the hate for him or the dislike of him is not warranted. You cannot tell me that there is a single person that wouldn't have done what he did in regards to job for job. Whatever you do in your life. Someone said to me, Jill, you don't have to lay any more towels anymore. Just come and sell them. You'll be this, that, and the other. I'd be gone. We'll just move up. It's the gradual. Ian just sat there typing for years and years, and now he does other jobs and gets loads of money, and he's not gone now. I don't want that.
Right, come on, let's move on. Listen. All right. Ladies and gentlemen and Facebook land, I'm already aware that we've still got about 3 or 4 more things I want to talk to you about. Okay, and I'm aware that we've been going for well over an hour already. Normally this show's only an hour long, but I want to get through all this tonight because I think it's really important. Ian, can this slide on the management team, please? Okay, so I don't know actually what their roles are. Ocean Roberts has joined us on as Patrick Vieira's assistant manager. Kirsten Wilson, I believe, Nigel and Said. I can't even say his name.
Is that Christian? You mean?
Yeah,
Christian Wilson is the first team coach.
Yeah.
And he's had contacts with Vieira first at Man City when they were there in the youth setup, and he followed him to New York and also to Nice. So he's one of like Vieira's honchos.
And Said,
Owen Roberts.
Is it Said the guy that creates the pathway between the youngsters and the first team?
Yes, he's a development coach.
Yeah.
What's his surname, Nick?
Wigan.
Oh, Egon.
Yeah, that.
He's been working with PSG, isn't he? So he's quality. He's the one I'm excited about.
Yeah. And then obviously Owen Roberts, he's a former Welsh coach, and we had to wait a little while to get him because he was director of the Moroccan national team, and we had to wait for Morocco to agree to let him go.
So I thought you were going to say not be on the amber list or something.
Yeah, probably not.
I think what this does, it gives us the opportunity to take advantage of a lot of experience around the younger players, but almost sort of Europe wide now. I mean, if that Said fella's come from so it's pronounced Said Aigan. Thanks, Teresa. And if he was at PSG, then surely, now he's as an employee at Palace, he would turn around and go, look, there's some young fellas there that would love to be playing in the Premier League, or I believe might be able to do a job for us. And again, with Vieira, his experience, and definitely, if you believe what a lot of people are saying, that he's confident, he's Arsene Wenger. I mean, Christ Almighty, you could do worse than that, couldn't you? You know what I mean? So about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he's confident has to be Alex Ferguson's why he's upstairs. It's if it's the future then that we're after, that we seem to have stepped in and placed some very, very good people in positions that we've needed. Obviously,
I think
for a
that's
while.
the Vieira Paul.
It's a good stepping. The stepping stones that seem to have been set, and that's what excites me. Just getting Vieira in was like, oh Christ! Now you see what he and the club are doing together by placing certain players again. He's come from here. I want him because he was with me at City in America, in France, and now he's here. You can see that they obviously work very well together, and that's what you need to build a team that's going to be a team and not a team of individuals that want to work in different ways. So they all seem to be on the right direction.
Listen to the players that we've signed. That they're all saying that they've signed for Palace because of Vieira. It's what he's putting in place, and they want to be part of that. So he's got a magnetism about him, which is drawing in quality players.
Well said, mate. Well said.
Listen,
I need to move on, boys, but before I do, I've got some breaking news for you from Grant Saunders. He's just messaged me. Okay, he said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to tell you that the boat is now completely sold out for Saturday." Folks, it's going to be messy. It's going to be messy. And Gel, it's great that you've got your mojo back. I can tell by the way you're talking tonight, you've definitely got your mojo back. Teresa, you mentioned Teresa a minute ago. Teresa Baker, I know you're listening. I know you're watching, darling. I need you on the show over the next couple of weeks. I want to talk to you. But before the show, she sent us all a message. Okay, she sent me a message, a private message that I'm going to share with you all out in Facebook land. Pin your ears back, everybody. She said, "My brother-in-law has just spent a week in intensive care after contracting COVID pneumonia. He had been double jabbed as well. The doctor said that if he had, bear in mind, Teresa is a nurse at East Surrey Hospital in A&E, and she's worked right the way through the pandemic. So this is personal to her. The doctor said that had he not had his vaccine, he would be dead by now. As it is, instead of 3 to 4 weeks, the COVID victims usually spend in intensive care. He was moved to a ward after only 6 days. if the show could encourage everybody to get their jabs, it would be awesome. Please do so. Lots of love. And Jinx has made an appearance. Hello, Jinx. Good to see you. Right, boys, I'm going to do a little piece now, if you don't mind, and I'm going to ask your opinion. Now, we've touched on the players in and the players out, players with injuries that we've spoken about, the squad players that we know, like Ferguson and so forth. We brought Aloisi in on knowing full well that he's injured. He's going to be out for a long time. Who am I missing, boys? Eze, of course. Eze out until the end of the year with a long-term injury. So that's three very, what I think is going to be an integral part of the squad going forward are out long-term injured. They won't be back until the turn of the year, in my opinion, most of them, even if then maybe even the spring on a couple of them. So I think this season, while we're right to be so excited about this season, a little bit of caution thrown into the mix. And this is just caution. 3 of our squad players out long-term injured. And then when they come back, 3 of our players disappear on the AFCON. Oh, look, as if this is the new technology for you. So Jordan Ayew, Cheika Kouyaté and Wilfried Zaha will be moving out to AFCON, the African Cup of Nations, in January. So not only are we going to hopefully get some of those players back by then, but when we do, those 3 guys disappear. Jill.
Well, the other thing as well is what January is always like, the Christmas period is always very challenging anyway for the players because they have to play so many games over. So if we can get 1 or 2 of those players back, that'll strengthen the squad. They'll come back fresh as well, having missed out 3 or 4 months of the season. So. I think Aloisi, I think his shoulder. I know we keep saying he's going to be out for 3 months, but we've had him for a month, so he's only out for 2 months.
No, more than that. We've had him for more than that, but yeah, I think he's got about another 6 to 8 weeks out. Yeah,
so that's going to be good. From everything that I hear about Eze's, his brace or his boots off, he's been sort of shallow training for a few weeks now, so he's on the way back. Building up muscle memory and stuff, so that bodes well for not rushing him back if we don't need someone. He literally is a midfielder, and we are overrun with pretty decent midfielders now. I think that might be the Gallagher thing. I think that's what they have brought him in for. That it seems to be a role that suits both of those. So I think that's why Gallagher's been brought in. But yeah, it's the losing the players to the tournament out in Africa is going to be, there's a fair few very, very decent players, African players in the Premier League. So there'll be some bigger holes in teams, in better teams than us when they lose those players when they go off to play for their teams. So I'm not particularly worried about that. It also is a sort of a measure of success when you've got players going off to play internationals, because we now seem to have a team of budding internationals rather than just the odd one, which has sort of always helped us out really right the way through when we was in the last days in the last season or 2 in the Championship. We were never losing loads and loads of players off to international teams. So, but yeah, no, I think that the 3 players coming back, I'm hoping we can get the Ferguson back. I know he was training really well by all accounts, and then got a terrible injury again. So, but yeah, no, it all bodes well for, like I say, for the second half of the season. After Christmas, if we can get 1 or 2 of them back.
Thank you. And Tracy, if make sure you read the comments in the chat. You'll get lots of love as always, and get your backside onto the show. Right, I've got loads of questions from the questions crew. Ladies and gentlemen, let me quickly tell you about the questions crew. If you're new to the show this evening, the questions crew is a group of guys that run their own messenger group simply for Red and Blue Review. What they do, and Nigel's part of it, okay, what they do is they form questions, okay, but more importantly, they form questions that actually get used in the show. So they are actually responsible for forming the show. So each and every one of you out in the questions crew, and I think there's about a dozen of them in there, Thank you very much for everything you do. Okay, really appreciate it. I've got them all here. Okay, we're not going to have time for them all tonight. Look at the time. We've been going for an hour and 20 minutes or whatever it is. So I'm just going to cherry pick one or two of them because I think one of them is particularly relevant. Okay, so but if anybody else out there wants to join the questions crew, give Nigel a shout. He'll do all your vetting for you and make sure you're a regular on the page and he'll talk to the rest of the gang about it. And
don't send him naked pictures.
Yeah, and Nigel does answer to lots of bribes, I've got to tell you. Just grease his palm with silver, and I'm sure you'll be in. Right, okay. One subject we haven't talked about is possible signings. Andrew Adams from the questions crew, who has been prolific this week, asking 2 questions, gentlemen. Can we carry on carrying Matata, number 1? And on the same subject, and we are, Jill, and we are, apart from the Brighton goal, what has he done? Okay, he was bloody awful. He was bloody awful the other day. Number 2, on the same subject, and you can cover them both together. Adam Armstrong, okay, not in the Blackburn squad yesterday. Sky speculation, he's on his way to Palace. Okay, and in case you don't know, from what I read in the chat earlier on, Alexander Sorloth has gone to, or is about to go to Southampton. And then there is a Norwich guy who did have it here, but I haven't got it here. There's a guy that he. No. There's a guy that's going to Norwich, okay? And my understanding is he's about to sign as well. So that only leaves us open for Armstrong. And the difference, and what I really like about Armstrong is he actually wants to come to Palace. He said it publicly. He wants to come to the club. Boys, Matata and Armstrong, go. One of you.
Right, I'll go. Mateta, it's 2. You can't write him off without giving him half a bloody chance. We did that with Sorloth. I still think Sorloth's half decent player. He only ever came on in the last 5 minutes of games, and the few games that he did start, he did all right and got very little service. Mateta's the same. Give him a bloody chance. I think there's something about him. I've got to say, we've got him on loan for another year. So why not at least give him until Christmas? Regarding Armstrong, to be fair, I don't know a lot about Armstrong. The only thing I know, I've not seen a lot of the Championship, but what I didn't actually notice him so much, which I don't know whether it says about a lot about the games I was watching or whether or not he just wasn't making that much of an impact. The only thing I do know about Armstrong is he's got the same agent as Joachim Anderson.
Yeah, I heard that as well. And Anderson was, Armstrong was top scorer in the Championship last year. Somebody just described him as Armstrong is very much in the vein as AJ, much shorter guy. Shorter guy playing off Benteke. You never know.
Yeah.
I'm concerned about the time, ladies and gentlemen. We really have got to move on a little bit. Okay.
First show. Don't worry. It'll stay.
Folks, I would like your predictions for where you think, just one word answers, where you think we will, what we've done in business this year, and you in the chat, ladies and gentlemen, in Facebook land, where do you think we're going to finish this year in the Premier League? And bearing in mind, Nigel's going to compile these answers, okay, and we will review these at the end of week 38, okay. Jill, your thoughts?
On where we're going to finish?
Where are we going to finish this season?
Oh, God. Can I have 2 guesses?
No.
I'm going to have 2 guesses. I'm going to have 2 guesses. 8 for 18.
8th or 18th. Okay. Well,
yeah.
There's a.
I said to you, I think we'll either do really well or we'll do really shit. And that's it. I don't think there'll be. I think this is the push on. It's either the push on. I think we either push on or we go down.
Paul saying 8th. Andy Stacey saying 11th. Tony saying 12th. Ian Noble, hello mate, get on the show. Showing 12th. Paul Glance, evening Lord Glance, showing 9th. Tom Clark Samuel, thank you for your hard work. 9th. Stephen Doyle, 9th. Daniel Garlick, 7th. Get on the show. Max Francis, 13th. Teresa, 6th. Teresa, you need to leave those drugs alone at your end. It's the
Prosecco, I think.
Yeah, I know. Okay, right, Ian Lyons.
The Prosecco said 6.
I think we've got does anyone else not think we've got a tough start? Yeah. I think it's going to take us a while to get going.
I agree.
I think we'll finish 14th though, and I'll be happy with that. Listen, if we finish 17th or higher, I'll be happy.
Okay, well, Nigel, I know what your prediction is because you just put it in the chat. Nigel was saying 9th. Okay,
I'm saying 9th.
I'm going.
What was Ian's prediction?
14th.
14th.
Yeah, 14th. Okay,
Right.
and I'm going a top 10 finish. Okay, 10th, just top 10, which will be, in my mind, a massive improvement. Go on, Jill.
I tell you what I'd like to see. Do you remember when Norwich? I know they come up and went down, but that style of football didn't go unnoticed. It weren't lost on a lot of people. I'd like to see that. I'd really like to see us pushing the ball about, and I think we've got probably 4 players. If we've got 4 players in our squad that play to what I think is their potential, and that's one at the back, one in the middle, one out wide, one up front. I think we have the potential to do really, really well.
Well said, mate. Well said. Right, Ian. Before I wrap up, I want you to please tell everybody about the Predictions League, okay, and how much fun the Euros were. And folks, pin your ears back for this because we had such a bloody giggle during the Euros. Go on, mate.
Yeah, I mean it's the same old story. Prediction League, loads of people getting involved. Everyone's having a good laugh in the chat and winning money. And Mr. Holden managed to fluke it this time round with his 2-1s, 2-1s, 2-1s. But everyone that gets involved, the vast majority of them keep coming back. And the new league is open for registrations. Currently, as you can see on the page, 62% of places have gone. 30 or 24% people have registered interest and are about to pay up, which means that places are still available. So follow the link below, redandbluereview.co.uk. Get involved. Currently, as things stand, the winner will get 155 quid, the runner 93 quid, and the manager of the month award for each of the 10 months is £12. But obviously, the more people join, the bigger that will become. It's a good laugh. It will only take you 2 minutes a week when the fixtures get sent out to send them back. And there'll be lots of stats flowing from it, and I'll do the usual shows as well. So,
quick word on Paul Holden, please.
What? No, I can't swear on here, can I? So
no, not that word. His generosity is what I was thinking about.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. I'll take everything back. Paul was very gracious enough to give us some of his winnings or withhold some of his winnings and donate them to the running of this for the enjoyment of everyone that's watching. So
great work,
many thanks for that.
Cheers, Paul.
It's much appreciated. But you're still not getting an extra 10 points to start off the season.
Kissing arse don't get you anywhere with us, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
Mickey Philpott has just said in the chat, breaking your own rule, Nick, stop swearing. Have I sworn tonight? Have I? Nigel saying I have. Okay, well, I won't ask you to repeat what I said. Listen, seriously, the Red and Blue Review predictions page, it is funny, okay? It is. Ian's done some brilliant work in the background. It's got, with all his stats and everything else that he sends out on a regular basis. And it simply is replying to an email once a week. That's all you've got to do. Okay. It's not, you haven't got to be a genius. You can fluky like bloody Holden did. Okay. Or you can be as crap as I was. Actually, I was up in the top half of a little bit of the Euros, but needless to say, I fell away like I did in last year's main league. Go on.
Just to answer Andy's question, yes, you can do it from Oz, Andy, because we just email the fixtures out and you just email them back. We've got people in New Zealand playing it. So, more than merrier, mate.
Worldwide, wherever you're listening to this broadcast, which is going out live worldwide. But if you are joining us as a part of the podcast, and the podcast will be done by the extremely talented Lucy Usher, literally after the show tonight, even though it's quite a longer one. Thank you for all your hard work, Lucy. It's going to be available on all your podcast providers, probably by midnight tonight, if I know, Lucy. But I'll be sharing it around the planet sometime tomorrow morning because I've got a very early start. I'm about to throw Ian Lyons under the bus, and he doesn't know it, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back this time next week, okay? We will be back this time next week, but I won't be here. Ian's hosting next week, and I'm sure Ian Noble will be alongside us. I have got a weekend away with my darling wife, and I can't wait. We're going to a wedding. So I won't be here next week, but we will be back 38 weeks out of 38 weeks through the Premier League season. Holyoke, great having you back on with your mojo up and rising. Stop taking your Viagra. Lionsy, thank you for producing and presenting at the same time. You're a superstar. And you Northern bloke, okay? We love you, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, out in Facebook land, on behalf of this entire team of people, he's growing every week. Thank you for being with us tonight. We'll see you soon. On behalf of me, Nick Philpott, God bless. Good night. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Yeah.
Good night.